Very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashing Sani Peter Singh. Now let's have a look at the headlines first. A 10-year plan launched to reduce the unskilled labour population to 10%. Former Primary Industries Minister shows flaws on government's 4% loan scheme provided for the business community. News in detail. The government goes for another constructive move, introducing a decade of skills development for the first time in Sri Lanka. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday declared that the coming 10 years will be utilised to reduce the unskilled labour population to 10% and position Sri Lanka as the epicentre for human resource development in Asia. Statement from President's Media Division notes that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has declared 2021 to 2030 as the decade of skills development in Sri Lanka, with the expectation to herald a transformational phase of educational reform and skills development for the nation in line with the government's national policy framework, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendour. The decade of skills development builds on the success of Sri Lanka spearheading the adoption of World Youth Skills Day, which was established through a proposal presented to the United Nations General Assembly in 2014 by the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa during his tenure as the President. The decade of skills development is expected to transform the general, higher and professional education and vocational education sectors in Sri Lanka in order to reduce the population of unskilled labour to 10%, create global technocrats and position Sri Lanka as the epicentre for human resource development in Asia by creating a digital, future-fit citizenry who will drive the development agenda of the country. In the meantime, addressing the International Labour Organization's Global Summit on COVID-19 and the World of Work Building a Better Future of Work, last week, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stated that the skills sector of the country require a rethinking in order to accommodate the new normal of the post-COVID period.
Skills sector of Sri Lanka required a rethinking and re-engineering in order to accommodate the new normal of the post-COVID period. Reskilling and upskilling of employees will be addressed in our action plan to empower those who lost employment during this crisis. Sri Lanka has pledged to eliminate hazardous child labour by 2022.
In the meantime, the government data also shows that industrial production in the month of May was also decreased by 25.5% compared to the same month in last year. However, the report stresses that the food production and manufacture of basic pharmaceutical products have reported positive growth rates in terms of volume of production in May this year. Accordingly, the Index of Industrial Production, as per the Department of Census and Statistics, reported for the month of May 2020 and 2019 was 79 points and 106.1 respectively. However, in May, the IIP rebounded to 79 index points after falling to a record low of 49.7 index points in April this year. Food production, manufacture of coke and refined petroleum products and manufacture of basic pharmaceutical products have reported positive growth rates, while others report negative growth rates in volume of production in May 2020. Furthermore, the manufacture of wearing apparels have declined by 58.7% on year-on-year basis in May this year. The manufacture of leather and related products and rubber and plastic products have declined by 79.3% on year-on-year and 70% year-on-year in May respectively. The central bank report shows that cumulative earnings from tourism, which are estimated based on tourist arrivals, remained at $956 million during the first 5 months of this year, recording a drop of 46.3% from the corresponding period of 2019. No tourist arrival was recorded in May 2020 with the suspension of all passenger flights and ship movements to Sri Lanka from mid-March this year due to the outbreak of COVID-19, and cumulative tourist arrivals remained at 507,311 during the first 5 months of this year compared to 945,377 arrivals recorded during the corresponding period in 2019. Accordingly, cumulative earnings from tourism, which are estimated based on tourist arrivals, remained at $956 million during the first 5 months of 2020, recording a drop of 46.3% from the corresponding period of 2019. Meanwhile, workers' remittances declined by 23.2% in May this 2020 on year to $432 million. On a cumulative basis, workers' remittances recorded a decline of 11.9% to $2,407 million during the first 5 months of 2020 in comparison to the corresponding period of 2019. Moreover, a net outflow of foreign investment amounting to $3 million was recorded from the rupee-denominated government securities market in May this year, resulting in a cumulative net outflow of $454 million during the first 5 months of 2020. The total outstanding exposure of foreign investment in the government securities market remains significantly low at $126 million as at end May 2020. Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Former Primary Industries Minister Daya Gamage claims that government's 4% loan scheme provided for the business community will not be a success in the long run since the business community have no liabilities to show the banks. UNP's Colombo district candidate Daya Gamage made these allegations participating in the Art Television's public space program last night.
පුද්ගලික ආයතනය හැටියට මොකද මටත් අපිටත් ඇඟලුම් කර්මාන්ත තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපිත් ඉතාමත්ම අමාරුවෙන් ඒවා ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න අපිට දරන්නට පුළුවන් උපරිමය දායකත්වය අපි ලබා දුන්නා. එතකොට හැම ව්‍යාපාරිකයෙක්ම තමන්ගේ ව්‍යාපාරය ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න විශාල උත්සාහයක් ගන්නවා. හැබැයි ගොඩක් කට්ටියට සේවකයන්ට පරිවත් ගෙවා ගන්න පුළුවන් කමක් නැහැ. ඒකට හේතුව අපේ වෙළඳපොළ ඇමරිකන් වෙළඳපොළ සහ යුරෝපීය වෙළඳපොළ. ඇමරිකන් වෙළඳපොළ තමයි අපිට ඇඟලුම් ගත්තොත් අපේ අපනයනින් 43%ක් තියෙන්නේ ඇඟලුම්. එතකොට ඒකේ ඇමරිකන් වෙළඳපොළ තමයි 65%. එතකොට ඒ 65%ක ඇමරිකන් වෙළඳපොළ ඇමරිකාවේ උග දන්නවා මේ අවස්ථාවේ විශාල වශයෙන් දැනටත් මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතය නිසා තවමත් ආයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කාර්යාලය ඇරියා ආයි පාරක් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කාර්යාලය වැළුවා. එතකොට ඇඟලුම් ඒ රටට ගියාම දැන් අපේ බයස්ලට අපි ණයට දෙනවා දවස් 60ක්. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ තව දවස් 90ක් ණයට ඉල්ලුවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි වැඩියෙන්ම ලංකා බැංකුවෙන් තමයි අපි ගනුදෙනු කරන්නේ. එතකොට අපේ ලංකා බැංකුව මුදල් දුන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට ආණ්ඩුව කියනවා බැංකුවට 104 පොලියට මෙහෙම දෙන්න කියලා. නමුත් බැංකු එහෙම දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Freedom People's Collective calls on the relative authorities to fast-track gazetting the COVID-19 related guidelines for the upcoming general elections. These observations were made by the members of the Freedom People's Collective during a media briefing held in Colombo today afternoon.
So the issue that we are talking about, that the health regulations that even the chairman of the Elections Commission is asking to be promulgated have gone through all the legal procedures, have gone through legal vetting by the Attorney General's Department, but it is somehow mysteriously stuck in the Health Minister's office. And I think everybody, including the former Speaker, Chairman of the Elections Commission, has been asking for these regulations to be issued, and we are adding our voice to that as citizens, because we believe that it is only when we are working under written law that the citizen can know what is permissible and not permissible, and if the citizen is found fault with, the citizen can mount a proper legal defense. So this is a central element to any kind of legal procedure to safeguard our fundamental rights.
The Colombo Stock Exchange announced that it has expanded the eligibility criteria for initial listing of shares on the main board and Dirisavi board, which will enable a wider spectrum of companies to qualify for a listing at the Colombo Stock Exchange. The rule revisions have been carried out by the CSE after extensive industry-level consultations and the approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka recently. The new changes will also enable companies to meet the eligibility in the form of revenue or positive operating cash flow if the company's market capitalization is valued at 5 billion rupees or above at the point of listing. If the application for listing is based on the revenue option, the company must demonstrate an aggregate revenue of 3 billion rupees for 3 financial years immediately preceding the date of the initial listing application. If the application is based on the positive operating cash flow option, then the company will be required to demonstrate positive operating cash flows for 2 consecutive financial years immediately preceding the date of the initial listing application. These new options offer potential issuers greater flexibility in terms of meeting the listing eligibility, enabling companies with growth potential to obtain a listing on the main board of the CSE. In addition to the requirement for positive net assets for the financial year immediately preceding the date of the initial listing application, the criteria has been expanded to offer a revenue-based alternative if the net asset requirement cannot be met. If the company's market capitalization is valued at 2 billion rupees or above at the point of listing, demonstrating revenue of 350 million rupees for the financial year immediately preceding the date of the initial listing application will be an acceptable alternative to the positive net assets requirement. However, with the objective of safeguarding the interests of investors, the approved revisions will also require the independent auditor's report in the audited financial statements of the applicant entity for the financial year immediately preceding the date of the initial listing application not to contain an emphasis of matter on going concern. This requirement applies to both the main and Diri Savi boards. The CSE's proposal to revise the basis of allotting shares in initial public offerings above 3 billion rupees has also been approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission. We will be back with stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all share price index dropped 30.42 points to close at 4,916.69 and the S&P SL20 dropped 17.56 points to close at 2,095.95. The turnover was 464 million rupees and over 17 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all the news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.